Hi, my name's Catherine Jansen. Welcome to my house and to my garden, and this is where the story begins.
What the heck? I'm just going to come out and say it. Catherine Jansen, a gracious, charming, and kind woman, a lover of animals, a superb cook, and an amazing artist, is, despite living up north for decades, a Southern belle.
Feed them first, then you're going to get a really good...
Yeah. Other artists, they're all pretty nice, but they're just, it's not the same league.
I've been working with photography for 30 years. Most of my images are made in India, although I've photographed in many other countries, including the United States. The first photographic work I ever did that was experimental and successful was figuring out how to put photographs on cloth in huge room environments, scaled to life, and making an installation piece. Because it's such a young medium, there are many, many things that have never been done before.
And Catherine has brought her experimental nature to her study of India.
What I've been working with these particular images is trying to get a sense of how we as human beings experience a place rather than the way the camera records a place. Superficially, they might look like panoramic images, but they're not made with a panoramic camera or with a software. I take dozens and dozens of photographs, and I photograph along the horizon line, and then I photograph up high and then down low. When I get home months later, I will spend a lot of hours piecing them together, forming an image, and I'm never quite sure how it's going to turn out. It's very much like painting. In fact, I think of them as paintings in a lot of ways. I remember reading a study years ago about psychologists who studied photographers, and what they found is that the huge percentage of men who photograph the wide landscape image, expansive hunter, protector, warrior kind of image, and that the women's images are arm's length away, the gatherer and the caretaker of children. This probably wouldn't be surprising to anybody. We've had thousands of years of this sort of behavior in our DNA. As I started photographing with this process years ago, I was most attracted to the ones that seemed to incorporate both, the sort of yin-yang harmony between the context and the content. And when you give the context as well as the content, it opens up possibilities of all kinds of layering of story and idea in it that I don't think is quite as readily accessible when you just give one or the other. I spend 3 or 4 months a year in Varanasi, and I'll get up really early in the morning when it's still dark, and I'll walk out towards the Ganges River, Ma Ganga, Mother Ganges. I know that this is where amazing things are going to probably happen. I do have a certain openness to be there and accept whatever happens. And this is where people go to pray and to bathe. It's where the animals go to get food. It's where all kinds of rituals are going to happen. It's going to be a very rich, multi-layered experience. So I walk along the river for 3 or 4 hours. Things happen, and I feel like they're gifts, and I'm there, and I photograph them, and then months later I bring them home, and I construct them into images, into ideas. I see them as gifts, as offerings, and that I'm fortunate enough to be there at that moment, and I accept them, and then I try to work with them and make them as emotionally meaningful as they were to me when I saw them. When I decide to photograph something, it's because I get so deeply touched by it.
What experience would you like people who see your work to derive from that?
If I want to photograph something, the criteria is almost like my breath has to be stopped a little bit. There has to be a certain sense of, oh, how beautiful, oh, how amazing. So I guess wonderment. And if I could communicate that wonderment, enliven that in someone, and enliven them to see that in their own life and everything they do, then that would be great. That would be it.
Well, Catherine, you had me in a state of wonderment after my first bite of your sweet potato salad. Thanks for a wonderful afternoon and showing me some of the most beautiful photographs I have ever seen.